I don't believe men were created to be pawns in someone else's game. I believe we were created to be steward kings. Men under authority, yes, but entrusted with real responsibility. Not perfect men, but disciplined ones. Men who rule themselves, serve God directly, and refuse to live in fear. It's king, not pawn. After everything we've talked about in this series, after the loss, after the control, after the collapse, after the letting go, there's a question that still remains. Who are you now? There's a moment after everything settles, where there's no chaos, no pressure, no constant adjustment, where it's just quiet. And for the first time, you're not reacting to anything. And it feels strange because your entire life you've been responding, responding to people, situations, different expectations. And now there's nothing left pulling on you. And this is where most men they get uncomfortable, because without pressure, without expectation, without someone needing something from you, you don't know what to do. But this is the exact moment that matters, because this is the first time you actually have the space to become who you are. Not who you thought you had to be, not the version of you that was shaped by survival or shaped by fear. The real you. The one that was always there but never had the room to exist. Because, there's a shift that happens. It's a little subtle, but it's powerful. You stop asking, what do they need me to be? And you start asking, what is actually true? That question alone changes everything, because now your decisions aren't based on approval, fear, or control. They're based on alignment. And this is where identity begins to form, not from reaction, but from the truth. You start noticing different things, what you actually value, what you actually believe, what you actually want. And not in a selfish way, but just simply in a grounded way. So this is where we start talking about the very first boundary. It's that first moment where you say no to something. Not aggressively, not emotionally, just clearly. And it feels different because for the first time, you're not adjusting. You're standing. And here's the surprise that comes with it. The world doesn't collapse afterward. Everything doesn't fall apart. In fact, things start becoming clearer. Why is that? Well, I think it's because truth creates order, even if it creates tension first. And this is honestly where most men get it wrong. They think that becoming themselves means becoming harsh, becoming detached or unemotional. And that's not it either, okay? Because that's just another reaction. The true king is balanced, okay? He's grounded, he's not rigid, he is clear in what he wants, but he's not aggressive about it. And he's present, but he's not trying to control or manage outcomes, because he's not operating from fear anymore. He's not trying to keep everything together or avoid every conflict or maintain every relationship. He's living from alignment, and alignment simplifies everything. Trust me, I know. So let's talk about the man who walks differently, because you could see it. The way that he moves, the way that he speaks, the way that he listens. There's no urgency with any of that. There's no pressure to prove anything. He doesn't need to control outcomes. He's just present. And this is what freedom looks like. It's not doing whatever you want, okay? But it's not being controlled by everything around you. And this is where love changes. Because now you don't love out of need, you don't love out of fear, you don't love to maintain something. You love from a place of wholeness. And that's different, because now you can give without losing yourself. You can serve without shrinking. And you can lead people, you can lead yourself without controlling. And you can care deeply about the people around you without being attached. And this is what Jesus modeled. He was fully present, fully engaged, fully loving, but he never got lost in it. He was never controlled by it and certainly wasn't defined by it. That's what made him stable. So let's talk about the man who stays, because the man who stays grounded, even when everything around him is moving, not because he's forcing it, but because he's rooted. See, this is the true king, not the man who controls everything, not the man who avoids all the problems around him, the man who knows who he is, lives from truth, and serves without losing himself. He's able to stand up without needing approval. And honestly, like, this is that paradox that we've been talking about. This is like where it gets resolved. Because you used to think, if I let go, I'll lose everything. But what you actually lost was simply everything that wasn't actually real. And what remained was just you, the real you, the one who doesn't need to perform, doesn't need to manage or control anything, just needs to stay aligned. This is what it means to become a true king. Okay, not perfect, not finished, but grounded. Stop trying to become someone and start living as who you are. You didn't lose yourself, okay? You just had to let everything else go so you could finally find